Hi, up next we have an old radio. Now, when I was very much younger than I am now, in fact I was probably about six or seven, my aunt and uncle had one of these sets where I was not even allowed to get near it, let alone touch it. Now, this was just after the war years, and the set they had was this particular model, not this set. I vowed and declared that if I ever saw one of these up for sale anywhere, I would try and get it. And a couple of months ago, one turned up on eBay and I had to have it. Now, it's rather unusual. The station changing or selecting is done by that outer knob, which, as you turn it, the knob itself rotates. The pointer also goes round. As I say, this set actually works, but I'm not going to have it on because I'm going to have a look at the back later, and it complicates things by having too many wires in the back. And it only works with an outdoor aerial. But the company's name is Derwent. Puts a girdle round about the earth. Now, these sets were made in London. They were made using what parts were available. Remember, this was in the 1930s, so it's probably 36, something of that era. And the actual components used were ones that were available because we had just come through a war and things were very tight. In fact, some of them used the American parts, and the person that knows about this set thinks that the actual chassis is American, but we'll have a little look at that later. But anyway, let's have a look at this control. Now, the knob's in the front. That's your volume. That's tone, and that one is your bands. As I say, the aerial's not plugged in at the moment, so we're not going to get much. So I'll put it a bit closer to see what the actual stations were in those days. Remember, it was a long time ago. You've got your stations around the outside. A lot of these names are no longer used. There's a Moscow, Warsaw. It's 3 bands. You've got long, medium and short wave. The medium waves, like the American broadcast bands, it's the same as that. You've got your meters. It's a 19 meter band. You've got USA. You've got Daventry, Zeeland, Eindhoven, Vatican. Quite amazing what stations you had on there. Needless to say, you didn't get everything. But the dial is lighted up by 2 little indicator bulbs, which I'll show you when I turn it round. Got a nice grille there. This is in very good nick, actually, considering it's from the 1930s. It's in very good nick. And as I was saying, these sets were actually rented to the customers. They never bought these were rented. Remember, in those days radios were quite expensive and a lot of people were quite poor, and the only way that you could have a radio was to actually rent it. When the TVs came out, they were the same. They were invariably rented because they feared if they went wrong, it would cost a lot of actual money to repair them. And these were probably the same. But as I say, I do remember this set. and I was not even allowed to get near it. I think in those days I probably had fingers which got into a lot of things. They were probably worried. Anyhow, now look at the front. What I'm going to try and do now is turn it round and we'll have a look in the back. Try and turn it round. Right, we've turned it round. Inside we've got all the things you'd expect to find. You've got your valves which are alight. The only thing that's actually been changed in here is the rectifying valve, which is that one at the back there. That was changed. They had to change the base, but it is a good change. It's the correct characteristics. It's possible that at the time the valve packed up they hadn't got one, or the only one they had was like the a similar one but with a different base, so they changed the valve base, put the valve in, and it works, so there's no problem there. All the other ones are okay. These cans cover your the intermediate frequency transformers and oscillator coils, like I mentioned before. This is a Superhet. More coils at the back there. They're all adjustable, but you never touch them, you'll throw them out. Your tuning capacitors in the back there, which you can just about see. The lighting, I'm sorry the lighting's not that good here. Let's turn it around a bit, probably see it now. There's the other tuning capacitor, which they've all got. This canister is a smoothing capacitor. And the connections at the back. Also, before we look at that, they all had these stickers on them. It's not a sticker. I don't know whether we can show this up. All sets that were sold in England had a sticker on them. I don't know if you can make it out. It might show up, it might not, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm holding it on there, so if it does show up, you'll be able to read what it says. Anyhow, coming down to the back, you have your name. Once again, this is not very light. I'm hoping it comes out better in the actual video. Derwent Radio. Tells you where it's made. Central Equipment Limited. Perivale, Middlesex. There's the set, there's the voltage, got a serial number there. As I say, it's all in very good nick. And what I will point out is the loudspeaker. That's at the top there, and that is a mains energised. Up to it goes, and this is a new lead that has been put in. You've got 4 wires to the speaker. Well, normally speakers have just got 2, the speech coil, and that's it. The modern ones use a permanent magnet. Well, this is called a mains energised. You have a DC feed going up there, which goes to an electromagnet, which is in this case. You've got a winding in there, which is an electromagnet, and that produces the magnet, which is now done by a permanent magnet. So it's a little bit different. Mains energised speaker. The other 2 wires obviously go to the moving coil part of the unit, which is a moving coil. It's a coil which is situated where the cone goes in between the magnet poles, and that's how that part works. Anyway, I think that's about it. Once again, any questions please ask. It's coming up now. That's your tuning capacitor. At the back there is the mains transformer. The little knob on the top is tappable for various voltages. Also, these little bits at the back here, the plug sockets. You've got your pickup, that would be for like a gramophone or a phonograph. You've got your aerial and earth, or antenna and ground. An extension loudspeaker, because a lot of people in those days, they would have a lead into the kitchen or another room and run a separate speaker from the radio. I think I've covered it all. Try that one again, see if that's coming up now. I don't know if it's going to come up. I'd like to see if that does. Yes, it has come up. So what I'll do, I'll hold that on there. All the sets in England used to have this sticker on them. You can just see it. It says 4 valves. Well, if you look inside, there's actually 5. And the reason they say 4 is the 5th valve wasn't counted because it was the rectifier valve, and I suppose everyone realised that you have to have a rectifier valve, so that wasn't counted, but all the others were. Anyhow, once again, thanks for looking. Any questions, please ask, and I'll try and get back to you. Once again, thank you.